Why do gadgets designed for older people end up sitting in a drawer? Every year, billions are invested in health technology that promises to help people age independently, such as smartwatches, medication reminders, voice assistants, health apps, fall detectors. Yet, many of these technologies are abandoned within weeks or months. And here's the surprising part. It's not because older people hate technology. In fact, research shows that many older adults use smartphones, video calls, and messaging apps every day. A recent study from Singapore found that while 68% of adults over 60 use digital technology generally, only 22% use health specific technologies. The problem isn't technology itself, it's something entirely different. Today, we're going to explore why most technology for seniors fail and what we can do differently. And stay until the end because I'll share a personal story about building technology for my grandmother with dementia and how one unexpected change completely transformed engagement. There's a common belief that older people simply don't want to use technology, but the research tells a different story. Many older adults are interested in technology when they see a clear benefit. They want to use tools that help them stay independent, remember important tasks, keep in touch with family, and manage their health. The problem is that we often design technology around the needs of younger, tech savvy users and then expect older adults to adapt. Imagine giving someone a complicated remote control with dozens of buttons when all they really want is an on off switch. That's how many older adults describe modern technology. The issue isn't age, the issue is design. In fact, the authors of the Singapore study, which was recently published in the Journal of Technology and Behavioral Science, concluded that successful digital health technologies require co design, age inclusive technologies, ongoing digital literacy support, and policy community collaboration. That's a very different message from saying older people simply don't like technology. I didn't become interested in this topic because I love technology. I became interested in it because of my grandmother. My grandmother was living with dementia, and like many families, we were looking for ways to help her maintain independence for as long as possible. So I started experimenting with technology. One of our earliest ideas involved using smart speakers to deliver reminders and prompts around the home. On paper, it looked like a perfect solution, but something interesting happened. When I introduced it to other people, engagement varied enormously, even though it worked for her. The reminders worked better in smaller homes and in homes where people spent more time in the room with the device. In larger homes, or when my grandmother and others happened to be somewhere else, the reminders were often missed completely. The technology wasn't broken, it was doing exactly what it has been designed to do. The problem was that it hadn't been designed around real human behavior, especially for people with dementia. And this is exactly what the research tells us. A 2026 qualitative study in the Journal of Medical Engineer Research found that older adults don't reject technology because they dislike it. They reject technology because it feels difficult, irrelevant, or doesn't fit into their everyday lives. That experience changed the way I think about health technology. People don't live in laboratories, they live messy, complicated, unpredictable lives. Technology has to fit around people, not the other way around. And eventually, this lesson led us to completely rethink our approach. I'll tell you what happened later. One of the biggest barriers identified in the Singapore research is digital confidence. Many older adults worry about making mistakes. They fear pressing the wrong button, deleting something important, or breaking the device. Researchers even described something called tech trauma. One senior center manager in the study explained it like this: when they try something new and it doesn't work, they blame themselves and become reluctant to try again. Think about that for a moment. Many of us blame the technology when something doesn't work. Older adults often blame themselves. And once confidence is lost, it can be incredibly difficult to rebuild. For someone living with mild cognitive impairment or dementia, these challenges can be even greater. A device that requires multiple steps, remembering passwords, or navigating complicated menus can quickly become overwhelming. The technology may work perfectly, but if using it creates stress or anxiety, it simply won't become part of everyday life. Many technologies are simply not designed with older adults in mind. Think about some of the most common complaints: tiny text, low contrast screens, small buttons, too many notifications, complicated menus, apps that assume perfect eyesight, hearing, and memory. The research consistently found that older adults prefer technology that is simple, intuitive, and practical. One participant put it perfectly: I don't want fancy features. I want something that helps me remember to take my medicine, keeps track of my doctor's appointments, and maybe tells me if my blood pressure is too high. That's a powerful reminder. People don't adopt technology because it's innovative, they adopt it because it solves a real problem. Technology becomes valuable when it fits into everyday life, not when everyday life has to fit around the technology. Another major barrier is trust. Many older adults worry about scams, fraud, and what happens to their personal information. And honestly, can we blame them? Every week, there seems to be another story around online scams targeting older adults. For many, downloading a health app feels like handing over deeply personal information to an unknown company. The research found that plays a huge role in whether older adults adopt technology. People are much more likely to try a technology if it is recommended by their doctor, their family, their community center, or an organization they already trust. Trust reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is one of the biggest barriers to trying something new. Perhaps the most important finding from the research is that technology adoption is rarely an individual activity, it's a social activity. Family members often become unofficial technical support. Grandchildren teach grandparents how to use video calls, children install apps, friends share recommendations, community groups provide training sessions. One older adult in a Singapore study said, my grandson taught me how to use WhatsApp, and now I use it every day. If I had someone to teach me about health apps the same way, I might use them too. Older adults who have someone to ask for help are far more likely to continue using technology. And those that don't, many simply give up. This is particularly important when we think about dementia. As cognitive abilities change, ongoing support often matters far more than the technology itself. The best technology in the world won't help if nobody is there to support someone in using it. So, why does most technology for seniors fail? Not because older people dislike technology, not because they can't learn, and certainly not because they don't want to remain independent. Most technology fails because it isn't designed around real human needs or their needs. The research points to four big barriers: technology that feels too complicated, poor age inclusive design, lack of trust, lack of support. And well, that brings me back to my grandmother. After seeing how inconsistent smart speakers could be, we eventually made a surprising decision. We moved away from smart speakers and transitioned to a simple telephony based approach. Instead of a smart speaker like Alexa, I pivoted to a telephone. A AI voice agent gave the reminders and automated well-being checks. This naturally fit into her life because she was used to using a telephone, as many older adults are. Additionally, I integrated a under the mattress sleep analysis pad. The sleep analysis pad gives excellent health data and sleep data. How many times she gets up in the middle of the night, sleep score, heart rate, breathing rate. The data was great. Additionally, you use the data to trigger the calls and make the calls context aware. The result for her and others who eventually tried the product was dramatically better engagement. Why? Because the technology became familiar. Everyone knows how to answer a telephone. It met people where they already were. It adapted to human behavior instead of expecting human behavior to adapt to the technology. And I think that's the biggest lesson from all of this. Technology can absolutely help people age independently, but only if we design it around real human needs. In the next video, we'll go one step further, because even when we build technologies that generally work, many of them never reach the people who need them. It's called the Valley of Death in health technology and medtech, and is one of the biggest reasons why promising innovations for older adults never make it into everyday care. If you would like to see more evidence based content around dementia, aging, and technology, don't forget to subscribe, and I'd love to hear from you. Have you or a loved one ever stopped using a piece of technology? And if so, why?